Good afternoon, Year 5. So this is continuing our PDL that we started last week. Now, if you remember last week, I gave you a challenge and I asked you to have a look for some information about Christopher Columbus using some websites that I gave you, and I asked you to answer some questions. So the trick was that basically lots of you found out that the websites were not all that accurate. They didn't give you the same information. So when you looked at them, you realized that they were fake websites. And I said to you that that was part of our media resilience and digital literacy, but I didn't want to tell you too much about that. So today I'm going to give you a bit more information about what that actually means. Because it's really important that you do understand these terms, because they might be terms that you come across in the workplace and you need to understand them when you get a bit older. And we're going to look at what they mean. So I want to start you off by having a look at some facts that I found out. So an estimated 1 in 3 of all internet users in the world today are below the age of 18. I think that's quite incredible, really, when you think of actually the number of people who are older than 18, thinking about the people that are using the internet for their work, and yet 1 in 3 of the population, the global population, are actually under the age of 18. So that shows how important it is that we understand how to use the internet safely. So studies found that around half children and young people found that online interactions were more straightforward to them than those that took place face to face. So they actually found it easier to communicate online than they did in person. I think there's good things and there's bad things about that. I expect we all have our own opinions on that. It's good to be able to communicate online, but I don't think we want to lose that ability to interact socially as well, face to face. And then 1 in 5 had shared personal information and photos with someone that they only knew online. So we're going to have a little think about that in a bit more detail, because we have talked about that before. A study by the NSPCC found that 11 to 16-year-olds place a high value on feeling like they're part of an online or social media community. So that means, what that means is that actually young people, and people not that much older than yourselves, probably you included actually, it's just that you, people your age weren't necessarily included in the study, found that actually having a group of friends online was really important to them. Now, I don't imagine that at your age you do have a significant group of online friends, because really you shouldn't be using those sorts of sites where you can set up those online friends. And if you do have friends online, chances are it's probably through your gaming and you know those people already. But lots of people say that actually it's really important to them to have those groups. When children and young people face a challenging life experience, a traumatic experience, they frequently turn to social media to talk through their problems, look for information or advice, and make sense of what's happening to them. So there are some positives. Media resilience. Media resilience is crucial, and that's using the internet and being online, all right? But media resilience is all about how do we do it safely? How do we do it so that we are careful and we're looking after ourselves? Now, we talk a lot about online safety, and I know that you've done quite a few activities with me about being safe online. We had our workshop about online safety. It's really, really important. However, we want to make sure that you know how to be safe online, but also not be scared of being online. It's really important in our digital age. Now we use the internet so much more, and we really have, over the last few months, we've really developed our use of being online, and we don't want you to be scared of it. So that's what we're going to think about today, and how to use it effectively. It does come with its dangers, and you can help yourself. So let's have a little think. Now, task 1, this is a bit of retrieval practice. So this is where I'm asking you to have a think about What do you already know? You're taking what we've put into your short-term memory at the front of your brains, and we're putting it into the back of our brains. So we're thinking about, right, what have we learned recently about being safe online? And to try and actually lock it into our long-term memories at the back of our brains, we are going to retrieve it. We're going to bring it back. We're going to think about it. So I would like you, please, to write down or draw or do a comic strip, whatever floats your boat, whatever you enjoy doing. It doesn't matter how you want to do it. And I want you to think about 3 ways that you can keep yourself safe online. 3 things that we've learned. Just 3. You don't need to do any more than that. Pop it down. So pause the video and then come back when you've done that. Right, okay, so let's see. I'm not going to spend too long over this, but just have a quick look at some of the ideas. Did you have any ideas where you need to think before you post? So don't ever share anything that you wouldn't want your parents or carers, your teachers, or even your future employers. Because I remember somebody saying to me once that they went for a job interview, and the person that was interviewing started to speak to them about all the things that were on their Facebook account. Oh, I see that you've got a friend that does this. I can see that you have been to this school. And it was because that person had put lots of information on their Facebook account, and it's very easy to access. So don't ever think, oh, it's my private account, no one can see it, because they can. And it's really important that you think really carefully about what you post. Will that upset you in the future? Would it upset anybody else? Another thing to think about, don't share personal details. We know that, don't we? We talk to you about that all the time. And I'm sure your parents talk to you about that all the time as well. So never ever share personal information like your address, your phone number, or even, probably really importantly, or definitely importantly, don't tell people your school. You can find out lots of information from people by thinking about their school. And that even comes down to not having a picture of you with your school emblem. Watch out for scams. If you come across something on the internet and you're not sure about it, you need to make sure that you speak to an adult and ask their advice. But don't ever click on links. We've talked about clicking on links from adverts and things. If you ever see an email or a message pop up, don't click on it. Okay, that's really important. Think about who you're talking to. You may think that you know that person. You might have chatted to that person online, maybe on a game. Do you know them? No, you don't. You don't know that person properly, so you certainly wouldn't tell them any information. Don't tell them anything that you wouldn't tell a stranger. Keep your device secure. So make sure that you are keeping all your information just for you. You don't need to share that with anybody else. Never give out your password, obviously. And then one that you may not know about, but some viruses in computers actually can let people access your webcam without you knowing about it. So it's really important that you keep that covered. So for instance, if you've got a laptop or you've got a PC at home and it's got a camera on it, you need to make sure that you've covered that unless you're using it like we are now and like we do on our Zoom calls. Now, that's not all of them. You might have had some different things, and I'll be interested to see what you guys have come up with. But that's a few ideas about how we can keep ourselves safe. So that's our retrieval practice. That's where we've gone back and thought, oh, what have we learned already? Let's pop it back here into our long-term memory. So we talked about how this unit is called Media Resilience and Digital Literacy. So media resilience is about us. Being resilient is about coping. So media resilience is all about how we cope with being online. The fact of life is that we can't go through life without being online and being on computers. It's essential. So we can't just say, oh, it's okay, I'll be safe and I won't use it. We need to use it, but we don't want to be scared of it. We need to think about how we can use it effectively and safely. So we've just talked about that, how that can happen, how we can think about keeping ourselves safe. So the other part of it, media resilience and digital literacy. Digital literacy, this is what we're thinking about, is using those skills. Digital literacy is about how we can be literate online. And what that means is how we can be really confident and competent online. So here's some of the things that will help us to be really good online. Now, we've just talked about online safety skills. Communication and netiquette. I expect some of you have heard that word before. It comes from that word. It's a bit of a play on words. It comes from the word etiquette. Etiquette is where we think about how we treat people. And it's that common phrase that we talk about, treat somebody as you would wish to be treated. Well, netiquette is exactly the same, but it's thinking about it online. So how would you wish to be treated? Would you want a friend to take a picture of you that you didn't like and then post it for everybody to see? Probably not. So if you wouldn't like somebody to do it to you, you don't do it to them. So that's where we're thinking about that netiquette. And what we're going to do today is we're going to think about this one here, finding information. So we're going to move away from the safety side of it. And we're going to have a think about finding information. But before we do, I just want you to have a look at this advert. So the man says, these targeted ads make me feel like I'm being watched. Have a little look at that, see if you can work out what's going on there. Yeah, I expect you've probably been sat on or done some online searching. Certainly, I'm sure your parents have. And suddenly all these adverts pop up and you think, hang on a minute, I was just thinking about that. I was just talking about that. And it's really interesting because, and I only found this out actually a few months ago, if I search for something on my iPad, it actually also comes up on my laptop. It also comes up on my phone. So the information that I'm searching comes between my devices. So my devices are all connected. And it feels a little bit like somebody's watching me, somebody's spying on me, and it is, because actually what's happening is they take little snippets of data and they use things that are called cookies. Yeah, you've probably been on websites and it asks you to manage your cookies, and basically cookies are a way of remembering information. Now, cookies can be good. It can also be not so good. So cookies can remember our information. So if I'm using a home computer, and so for instance, I've got an Amazon account, and at home, I'm a little ashamed to say that I probably use Amazon a little more than I should. If I had to put in all my information every time, so every time I went onto Amazon, I had to put my address, I had to put my email, my contact number, probably would get a bit frustrating. And so cookies allow my computer to save that information for me so that I don't have to put all that information in every time. So cookies are good because I don't have to do that and it saves me time, but also not good. If I were then using a public computer and I put all that information in and I allowed the cookies to save that information, somebody else could use my card, my address, have all my details and use that to purchase something for themselves. So we've got to be quite careful to manage our cookies, all right? And we can talk about those in more detail when you come back to school. Okay, so going to teach you some skills that you may or may not know, okay? So the first thing that I want to do is I'm just going to quickly jump onto this and then I can screen share it. So I want us to have a think about using search engines. Now, you guys are really confident already with search engines, but I wonder if you know all of the skills that will help you to search for things really, really well. So I'm just going to pause that. And here we go, share the sound. So this is...
My name is Matt Cutts.
I'll let him introduce himself.
I'm an engineer in the quality group at Google, and I'd like to talk today about what happens when you do a web search. The first thing to understand is that when you do a Google search, you aren't actually searching the web. You're searching Google's index of the web, or at least as much of it as we can find. We do this with software programs called spiders. Spiders start by fetching a few web pages. Then they follow the links on those pages and fetch the pages they point to, and follow all the links on those pages and fetch the pages they link to, and so on, until we've indexed a pretty big chunk of the web. many billions of pages stored across thousands of machines. Now, suppose I want to know how fast a cheetah can run. I type in my search, say cheetah running speed, and hit return. Our software searches our index to find every page that includes those search terms. In this case, there are hundreds of thousands of possible results. How does Google decide which few documents I really want? By asking questions, more than 200 of them, like, how many times does this page contain your keywords? Do the words appear in the title? In the URL? Directly adjacent? Does the page include synonyms for those words? Is this page from a quality website, or is it low quality, even spammy? What is this page's page rank? That's a formula invented by our founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin that rates a web page's importance by looking at how many outside links point to it and how important those links are. Finally, we combine all those factors together to produce each page's overall score and send you back your search results, about half a second after you submit your search. At Google, we take our commitment to delivering useful and impartial search results very seriously. We don't ever accept payment to add a site to our index, update it more often, or improve its ranking. Let's take a look at my search results. Each entry includes a title, a URL, and a snippet of text to help me decide whether this page is what I'm looking for. I also see links to similar pages, Google's most recent stored version of that page, and related searches that I might want to try next. And sometimes, along the right and at the top, I'll see ads. We take our advertising business very seriously as well, both our commitment to deliver the best possible audience for advertisers and to strive to only show ads that you really want to see. We're very careful to distinguish your ads from regular search results. And we won't show you any ads at all if we can't find any that we think will help you find the information you're looking for. Which in this case, the cheetah's top running speed is more than 60 miles an hour. Thanks for watching. I hope this made Google a little bit more understandable.
Okay, right. I just want to quickly show you this. Whilst you were watching that, I quickly went on, opened up my phone, and this is what has come up. So I wonder if you can see that it's telling me, I haven't moved this yet, I want to keep that on there, because underneath it says about training in keeping children safe online. It's the NSPCC website. And then on top of it, I don't know if you can see it very well, here maybe back to front, it talks about, can we store cookies? So it's asking me, it says, we use cookies to give you the best possible experience on our website. Do you wish to accept functional, analytics, and targeting cookies? And I can choose no, customize, or this is okay. Now, this is my own phone, my personal phone, so it would be okay for me to click on this is okay. However, if I was doing this on a public site, I would want to click no, customize. Because it's talking about targeting specifically for me, and I don't really want, I wouldn't want any information to go onto a public site. So I thought that was quite an interesting thing. So let's quickly skip back to our PowerPoint. Okay. Right, so that's thinking about, that told you all about how we use search engines effectively. Or how search engines work, but I want you to have a think about using them really, really effectively, as easily as possible, so that you can get the information that you need as quickly as possible. And so I'm going to introduce you to this term Boolean operators. I'll quickly show you, in fact, I'll show you it now. Let's quickly jump onto that. Wait for it to upload.
Using Boolean operators, brought to you by CSUSB's John M. Fow Library. In this video, we'll demonstrate how to use the Boolean operators and, or, and not. Using these operators can help narrow or broaden your searches in the library's databases. An easy way to narrow your search is to use the word and between two or more keywords. Though AND is the default for most databases and you typically will not have to type it out, it's useful to know how it works. AND retrieves only those results that contain all of your keywords. For example, a search for cat and dog will retrieve only those results that contain both keywords, not simply one or the other. However, if you want to expand your search, use the Boolean operator OR, cat or dog. This technique will allow you to retrieve results that contain the keywords cat, dog, or cat and dog. For a more sophisticated search, combine the Boolean operators and OR. For example, let's say we want results about cats or dogs or birds, but we also want these results to address animal welfare. First, we would place parentheses around cats or dogs or birds as if it were a mathematical equation. We would then add animal welfare using the Boolean operator AND. Finally, you can use the Boolean operator NOT to exclude keywords from your search results. For example, if I want to retrieve information about animals but not dogs, I would search like this: animals, not dogs. And even though I actually love dogs, using NOT eliminates what I don't want, saving me time and energy I would have otherwise spent combing through my results.
Okay. Let's quickly put back to our other screen. Right, okay, so that's taught you a way that you can be really specific in your search. Key thing to remember, if you put it in capital letters, so if you're using and in that way, or not, use it with capital letters, and then it recognizes that you're using it as a Boolean operator. Okay. The other thing is using asterisks. So if I wanted to search for, I've put on here, information about teenagers, I could put in teen, and then I could research again, and I could put in teenagers, then I'd do another search and put teens, and then another search teenagers. Or if I just use the beginning of the word teen, and then I use an asterisk after it, it will do that for me. So this is what you're going to do. You are going to create a poster to give tips for a more effective search. So somebody your age, it's aimed at an audience of somebody your age, and can you give them some tips on how to search more effectively? So I've shown you some videos there. And then the challenge, which I'm expecting quite a few of you to have a go at, can you explain how search engines work? So think about how the Matt from Google told us all about how search engines work. I'll put that link on Tapestry so you can go straight into it again if you want to watch it again. And can you use the following terms? Do you understand about ranking, how websites are ranked, and targeted advertising? So I'm going to leave you with that. And I think that's hopefully a way of us developing our digital literacy. Look forward to seeing what you come up with, guys.